Good morning and welcome to IG's early morning call on IG Live, Tuesday, 23rd of May. Coming up in today's program, European indices are cautious. There's still no deal yet on that US debt ceiling. And the dollar versus the Japanese yen holding at 6-month highs. Will there be more to come from the Fed in terms of rates? And Zoom, we're looking at that this morning because its earnings beat and the company also raised its outlook. First of all, let's have a look at the VIX for you. This is, of course, the so-called fear gauge, and you can see that it's been trading within this narrow band of 18.9 and 22.5, trying to break through that resistance level of 22.5 quite recently, earlier this month. However, it failed and it's come back down again towards this 18.9 level. However, indications are that it could potentially rise again if we don't get some sort of resolution soon in terms of this US debt ceiling. Now, the key focus in the US will be personal consumption expenditures data and the minutes of the FOMC meeting, followed by initial jobless claims as well. With 30 minutes to go until the European market open, let's have a look at what is happening in pre-market for you, and just getting up the German 40 up. That's what it's called on the IG platform. Of course, this is known as the DAX, and we are looking at a somewhat flat to slightly lower open as we count down. Let's have a look at the CAC 40 for you as well, otherwise known as the France 40 on the platform. A similar picture there, as you can see, as we count down, and it's probably going to be the same for the FTSE 100 on the platform. There we go. And there you have it, a similar picture there. Now, overnight in Asia, stocks gave up gains after creeping to 2-week highs. This is amid the caution brought on by the standoff over the US debt ceiling. Investors also waiting on those industrial sector surveys out of Europe and the US. The Nikkei down about 1/3%, Hang Seng down 2/3, and the S&P ASX 200 settling just a touch higher. Checking in on the close for you, the Nasdaq coming up on this board soon, and the S&P closed just a touch higher, and the Dow Jones Industrials was down 0.5%. Let's catch you up on the US debt ceiling talks. President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy failed again to reach an agreement on how to raise the $31.4 trillion government debt ceiling. Now, the earliest estimated default date remains June the 1st. If no deal is made by then the Treasury will no longer be able to pay all the government's obligations. And just checking in on the Wall Street pre-market ahead of the open. And we've got it looking like this. It's looking rather cautious, as you can see there. Currently down around 0.1%. Now to the UK, where we've just had public sector net borrowing figures. Public sector net borrowing data is key because it gives us an idea as to what the government is likely to do when they come up to the next elections as well. We're seeing the largest deficit since March 2021, 24.7 billion, more than last month. Also, out of Japan, manufacturing activity expanded for the first time since October last year. The Jibun Bank Flash Japan Manufacturing PMI rose to 50.8 in May. Output and new orders also returned to expansion territory for the first time since last June. Service sector activity expanded at the strongest pace on record. Now, the PMIs out of Japan, first of a series due today, starting with France at around 8:15 UK time, followed by Germany, eurozone and the UK. All are forecast to see an improvement in manufacturing, but will remain in contraction territory. This afternoon, the market could react to the US S&P global manufacturing PMIs. It's forecast to fall to 50 in May from 50.2 in April. Just having a look at the dollar versus the yen, and taking a look at the US dollar basket for you first, because it has been climbing slightly higher as we await those FOMC minutes to try and figure out what the Fed might do in its June meeting. This is also a look at the dollar versus the yen on our platform. This cross has been quite interesting of late because it's just passed the 13,792 level, broken above that, and is now moving up to perhaps the next resistance point at around 14,124. This cross has hit a 6-month high on expectations that rates in the US will remain higher for longer. Two Fed members have hinted there is more to come from the Fed. The Fed President Neil Kashkari, this is the Fed President of Minneapolis, thinks that the Fed may have to go north of 6% in order for inflation to return to the Fed's 2% target. And the Fed President from St. Louis, James Bullard, thinks another half-point hike is on the cards this year. Now, let's take a look at New Zealand, and the RBNZ is set to decide on interest rates. The official cash rate expected to rise by another 25 basis points to 5.5%. Now, if this is indeed the case, it would make the RBNZ the most hawkish bank in the world, with a total of 525 basis point hikes. At the moment, the RBNZ shares the top spot with the US Fed, both on a total of 500 basis points hikes. Also, BT Group Altice announces this morning that it has raised its stake in BT to around 24.5% after acquiring another 650 million shares. Altice, however, repeated it does not intend to make an offer for BT. And staying with corporate news, look out for Topps Tiles. The group posted a near 70% drop on pre-tax profit to 1.7 million. Sales rose more than 9%. Topps Tiles also raised its interim dividend to 1.20 per share from 1 pence a year ago. Zoom Video Communications raised its full-year forecast, sending the stock up some 4% in extended trading, but that's come off slightly now. Earnings coming in better than expected at $1.16 per share. Analysts anticipate 99 cents, and sales also was marginally better than forecast at $1.1 billion. The 8% fall in online sales was offset by the 13% rise in revenues in its enterprise business segment. In terms of guidance, Zoom now sees annual adjusted profit between $4.25 and $4.31 per share, compared with an earlier estimate of $4.11 to $4.18. Annual sales is also forecast between $4.4 billion and $4.49 billion. This is higher than an earlier estimate. And just looking at Zoom as well for you, the chart here, because I want to show you its share price reaction. As you can see there on this green candle, that's after the results. However, we're waiting for the all sessions to get started very shortly on the IG platform. Also, due to hand in their report cards today, Toll Brothers and Urban Outfitters out of the US, both likely to give us a better view of consumption and how the US consumer feels in the US as we look to the Fed for perhaps another rate hike in June. And quickly checking on commodities for you, I want to show you oil prices because we've had quite a lot of volatility there of late. Oil, of course, has faced multiple headwinds. First, we've got rising demand because of the revenge travel trend, but we've also got supply issues out of the Middle East, and also we're watching consumption closely out of the US as well, and China, where the reopening has not been as fast as initially thought. Oil trading at around 7,224 right now. And we have to leave it there. Before letting you go, a quick reminder that we have charting at 10:30. We'll also have a special show on the UK retail sales, and also we'll cover inflation there and those public sector net borrowing figures for you. Let's have a quick look at the pre-market as we count down to the open. The FTSE there looking cautious ahead of the open, along with the DAX as well. Taking a look at the Germany 40, otherwise known as the DAX, and the CAC 40 or the France 40 on the IG platform. Pretty cautious picture there, 20 minutes to the open. And that's all we have time for. Thanks for watching. I'm Angeline Ong for IGTV.